Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and stick around. Also, if you need help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching, email coaching, as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. You may also want to check out my self-study mini course, Telepathically Connect with Your Specific Person. So if you guys are interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. Click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's dive into today's video. In today's video, I want to help you guys reframe and overcome any triggering experiences you may have had with your specific person, specifically in ways they might have treated you or ways that they showed up, ways that you did not prefer, ways that made you angry perhaps or resentful. I want to help you overcome these and rise above them to a new experience that is going to create the reality that you desire with your specific person. So this is what I'll be discussing in today's video. Stay tuned. So I know a lot of you watching this channel are manifesting a specific person. A lot of my coaching, probably most of my coaching, is about a specific person, is with people manifesting a specific person. And I hear that so much where people get triggered about the way their SP has treated them, quote unquote, about things they might have said or things they might have done or things that they didn't say or they didn't do. And in some way or other, that created a trigger within the person, which has then led to resentment, anger, anxiety, jealousy, or any of these kinds of feelings. Now, I want to make a disclaimer here before going forward, and that disclaimer is also in each and every one of my videos in the description. But I want to make it very, very clear that I'm not talking about toxic or abusive situations, okay? I'm talking about more everyday, more normal, average relationships and connections where the other person might have triggered you with something they said or didn't say, or with something they did or didn't do that you wanted them to do, or the way they showed up or the way they didn't show up, etc. And I wanted to make this video today to prompt you guys and encourage you to start reframing these experiences that might be leading you to get triggered and seeing them in a different light so that you can actually overcome your resentment towards your specific person, overcome these triggers, overcome how you may be feeling about them. Perhaps you're feeling bitter, perhaps you're feeling wronged, perhaps you're feeling upset, resentful, etc. And I want to help you see these experiences in a different perspective. And seeing these experiences in a different perspective is actually going to go a long way in helping you manifest the desired version of your specific person. And they are going to help you manifest an experience and a reality with your specific person that is much, much more aligned to what you actually want. So recently I was watching a video. It wasn't another coach. It was this relationship psychologist who was saying something that I found very interesting and it stuck with me. He was talking to people who are triggered by whatever the behavior of their specific person is. And he invited all those people who are feeling triggered, who are feeling resentful, who are feeling like their SP is not showing up in a proper way, and they are mad at them and resentful at them and bitter at them and so on, to actually project this experience, this very same experience, to someone else who they're not romantically interested in. So what they were saying was, if that same behavior did not come from your specific person, whom you're romantically interested in, but it actually came from a friend or someone else who you don't have any romantic interest in, would it bother you in the same way? Would it trigger you in the same way? For example, let's say you send a text and they take many hours to respond, or maybe they respond the next day, or maybe in some cases they didn't respond at all. If that behavior and if that way of showing up had come from someone else who you're not really romantically interested in, if it had come from someone else who you don't really care about, let's put it this way, would you be feeling equally resentful, bitter, anxious, stressed out, annoyed, mad, angry, etc.? Yes or no? For a big number of people, projecting that experience onto another person that doesn't hold the same significance within them as their specific person, the answer to that question is going to be no. If you're honest with yourself, the answer is going to be no, actually, I wouldn't be as triggered, as upset, as annoyed, as angry, as resentful, etc. So the reason you're actually angry, resentful, upset, annoyed, feeling wronged, etc. is because this behavior came from someone who matters to you. So it is not the actual behavior that has triggered you. It's not the actual behavior that has caused you the feelings. It is who it comes from. And so if the behavior, even if it's not ideal, I'll give you that, is not the culprit, is not the actual real true problem, then what is the actual real true problem? The actual problem is your attachment to that person, is your attachment to wanting specific outcomes and specific experiences from that person. And the actual problem is the importance you place on those behaviors and on those experiences coming specifically from that specific person. So it's not the behavior, it's not the way of showing up, it's the behavior and the way of showing up coming from that person. So if you process that and actually let it sink in, you are going to realize, if you're honest with yourself, that your SP might not actually be doing anything wrong in the first place. And again, I'm going to repeat it once again. I'm not talking about toxic situations. I'm not talking about abusive situations or anything like that. I'm talking about more average day-to-day experiences. Chances are anyway that if it was an abusive situation, if it was a toxic situation, it would bother you no matter who it came from, okay? But for more everyday experiences, for more everyday ways of showing up, the difference lies on who the behavior comes from. It's not the actual behavior itself. So if you start detaching in this way, in a healthy way, from these specific expectations and these specific outcomes from your specific person, you're going to realize that at the end of the day, they're not really doing anything wrong. They're not doing you wrong. They're not mistreating you. They're not disrespecting you. They're not deliberately trying to hurt you, etc., etc. Not any more than the random person who you don't care about, who didn't trigger you the same behavior, is trying to hurt you or do you wrong or disrespect you, and so on. So once you realize that, once you reframe the experience, once you achieve that detachment from needing the specific outcome from your specific person, that opens up a whole new path in actually manifesting your desired version of that person. And it opens up a whole new path because you're no longer resentful, you're no longer upset, you're no longer holding that pain and that hurt and that offense, if you will, from the old story and from how they've showed up to you, which is creating resistance towards you seeing them under a different light and seeing them in a different way, seeing them as potentially a much better version of themselves who is actually giving you everything that you want and all the experiences that you would ideally prefer to have with them. And with that resentment, that anger, that hurt, that pain out of the way, you are now resistance-free to start imagining them as the version that you want, as the version that you prefer, as your ideal version, as the version that you know that you deserve. The main reason why you're so stuck in experiencing these old versions of your specific person is because you are continuously triggered by the ways they're showing up, by behaviors you don't like, by remembering their old version, by thinking that a new version would be impossible to show up. And you're basically keeping them stuck in that old self and in that old version of themselves, while you're also keeping yourself stuck in that resentment, in that bitterness, in that anger, in that feeling of unfairness, etc. But with that kind of resistance out of the way, you are now free to create. It's like a blank canvas, if you will. You are free to create the new version of your specific person, and it's going to be much easier for you to imagine that different ideal version and to identify with that different ideal version, because you're no longer thinking about the old version, you're no longer attaching meanings that are negative and don't serve you to that old version. You have let go, you have detached from that old version. It doesn't bother you anymore, it doesn't trigger you anymore. And so now you are free to create the new version from scratch. So I hope this makes sense and that it's quite clear as to how losing the triggers about your specific person and their old versions and their old ways of showing up actually opens up the way for you to imagine them better, to project better onto them, because remember, they're always your mirror. And as the mirror of you that they are now going to be compelled to reflect back to you the new version of them that you're creating and that you're holding dominantly in your consciousness. With all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I love making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.